my name is Abigail and welcome back to Polyglot Progress. Quite a while ago we posted a video about our favorite French learning resources and I thought it was time to do the same for German. As a disclaimer, while the French video was both Matt's favorites and my favorites, this video is going to kind of just be my German favorites. As I completely self-taught myself German, I have a few more favorite self-learning resources while Matt doesn't since he learned it in school. If he feels like he has a lot of resources that he wants to recommend, he'll probably just make his own separate video. So that's just something to know going into it. For anyone who doesn't know, I've been studying German on and off for like 1.5 years now, I guess. And I'm currently at an intermediate, upper intermediate level, but I'm hoping to kind of more steadily study German throughout this year and get myself to an advanced level. So my first favorite is something that I honestly recommend for every language. Admittedly, I don't have them for every language that I study, but I'm hoping to very soon because it is something that I find extremely useful when I do have one. And that is just a phrase book and pocket dictionary. This is the Collins Gem German phrase book and dictionary, but I know that Lonely Planet makes some great ones, Isabel makes some great ones. There's tons of phrase book companies and honestly, they're kind of all very similar, so whatever you end up finding that you like and that works for you is the right way to go. I like these for a few reasons. The first being if you are going to travel to Germany and that is why you're trying to learn German, it's a resource that you can actually carry around with you and you can reference if you need to. In terms of learning on your own, I feel like these are super helpful. I mean, this one has 3,000 words in the dictionary plus phrases, and if you think about that, that's a pretty big chunk of the language within this tiny bite-sized little book. The dictionary part is super helpful if you're going to read something or watch something and you want to be able to look something up, and then the phrase section is just helpful, I feel, to be able to get things that maybe a textbook doesn't give you or that you want to learn earlier on than a textbook's going to give you, or just something like that, because they are super useful phrases. I also like how phrase books organize them based on things. So you got like eating out, you got communications, you got shopping, so you can very easily look up what it is that you want to learn about in a way that a textbook might not necessarily give you. Next is probably my favorite German resource and maybe even just language learning resource of all time, and that is Teach Yourself Complete German. You can see probably how banged up my copy is. This book honestly taught me so much German. This book claims to get you from absolute basics, knowing nothing, up until a B2. I'm not totally sure if I agree with B2. I feel like it might be more like a B1. But regardless, it does a really good job of getting you to that point. Something I especially liked about this book is it didn't go straight to the touristy things. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 weren't like getting off the airplane. They were talking instead about how to introduce yourself and talk about where people are from and your interests and that sort of thing. The dialogues and also just all of the exercises in this book really made it super easy and fun for someone to self-learn the language. This also comes with audio, and the audio even has speaking practice, so you even get practice there. Overall, this book genuinely taught me so much German over the course of it, and it's just something that I'm really glad that I picked up when I wanted to learn the language. I have yet to make it through a full other Teach Yourself book, so I can't really compare it as a whole, but from what I've at least done from other Teach Yourself books or heard about other Teach Yourself books, I feel like this might even be their best book. So if you're learning German, you're in luck. This book is amazing and I definitely recommend it. That being said, not a favorite is Enjoy German, which is supposed to come after this book. I was extremely disappointed in that one. Next is another book from Teach Yourself. I haven't gotten to use this one as much, but from what I have done in it, it's super helpful, and that is the German Tutor book. Basically, this is something that's just kind of made to supplement other resources. This book does say that it can be used as a grammar and vocabulary course or as a dip in and out resource alongside another language course, but overall it will take you from an advanced beginner to upper intermediate level. So I guess it takes you from a little bit above this one to the end of this one. So you could kind of use them together. But I find that this is just super helpful for either reviewing things or learning things that maybe I didn't spend as much time on in another course. Overall, I feel like this is just really good practice for things that maybe didn't stick in your head as well. I've used this for brushing up my gender, for brushing up certain grammar tenses, that sort of thing, and I find that it is super helpful for that. Another grammar book that I really like is Sáenz German Grammar. It's honestly not a fun and welcoming book at all. It's just kind of, here is the grammar and now here are exercises for it, but it's super helpful for that. It doesn't say necessarily what level this is supposed to be used for. I think it's sort of like introductory through intermediate, so probably about the same range these other books are for. But it pretty much just very simply explains grammar in a way that I really appreciate. It helped me to learn some tenses that I wasn't necessarily given in other books that I used. And then it just also provides enough exercises to kind of get things through your head. And then the other course that I definitely recommend is on Memrise, and it is called 5,000 Words, Top 87%, Sorted by Frequency. And I honestly highly recommend this. It literally is just the top 5,000 words used in the language, so you end up being able to comprehend 87% of conversations that are had, but it's both a really good way to practice vocabulary that you've learned from another course. I know that a lot of the things that came up were things that I learned through that Teach Yourself book, or through Duolingo, or for something else that I was doing, and so it helped to just reinforce those in my head, and then it did also teach me some new things. There were also a lot of times where I'd learn it on Memrise, and then it would come up in my textbook, and I was like, I know who you are. It also has audio that is really clearly recorded, so you will be able to both hear and read. You also do have to put in the article and the plural version for all of the nouns that you get, so that just really helps to get those stuck in your head as well. And then I just wanted to recommend a few things that I used for immersion. Some of these aren't necessarily German related specifically, but it's how I learned German, so I'm gonna recommend them for that reason. So first off are the two books that I have that I really want to recommend, but neither of these is technically like a German book. The first one being Percy Jackson. I feel like this is a nice intermediate range because it's meant for kind of like middle schoolers. There's lots of new words, there's lots of cases and grammar tenses in use that are good to see, but it's also not dense or difficult to read. And then also, even at a kind of lower level than Percy Jackson, I feel, is using manga or comic books. So this is Sailor Moon. It is not necessarily meant for children, so it's got like a more interesting plot, and the phrases aren't necessarily things that a child would say, but it is pictures, it is short amounts of words at a time, so it's quite simple to get through it quickly and also to comprehend what's going on. And then finally, two kind of TV shows that I recommend are Peppa Pig. I watched so much Peppa Pig in the beginning of my German learning, and I think that it honestly did wonders for it. It allowed me to be exposed to the sounds of the language. It allowed me to learn things through the context of images. It also helped with me getting used to putting words at the end of sentences and things. So I definitely recommend that, or maybe if you have another children's show you'd prefer to watch, but honestly, I feel like Peppa Pig was really great for me. It's something that I use in other languages as well, but it was my German learning that initially got me doing that, so I'd recommend that. And then slightly more of a German-specific thing that I recommend is Extra. I actually haven't watched it in German yet, but I do know that there is a German version, and it is the same thing in every language they make it for. They have it in English, French, Spanish, and German, and it's basically a show that's meant for high schoolers learning a language. So it's funny, it's sort of like the same type of atmosphere as Friends, I guess, but it is in the other language. You learn new vocab, and it's a good way to practice your listening comprehension. And so that is my favorite German learning resources. I will hopefully have links to all of the things that I can at least find down below, so if you are interested, you can go and check them out. If you guys have any German learning resources that you want to recommend, I would love to hear them, especially if they are for the like upper intermediate to advanced range, because all of these kind of go from beginner to intermediate, which I've done, and now I've been having trouble finding resources that I really like and connect to the same way I liked these for the intermediate to advanced level. So anything you guys might have, let me know. Other than that, if you're new here and you want to see more language learning content, definitely subscribe because we're posting a video every single day, and I will see those of you who are subscribed tomorrow. Bye guys!